All right, looks like we're getting ready to start here, and I'd like to say good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Planning Commission of the City of Moreno Valley. I will now call this meeting to order March 27th at 6:01 p.m. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Zaitz,
Present.
Commissioner Terrell,
Present.
Commissioner Taylor,
Present.
Commissioner Stefan,
Present.
Commissioner Cobian,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Baker,
Here.
Chairperson DeJournette.
Here. All right, I would invite Commissioner Zikes to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we're now going to move to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
I second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do we have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Cobian, can you enter your vote?
There we go. All right, the motion carries. Before we hear public comments this evening, I'd ask and encourage everyone participating to keep their comments respectful towards others. I embrace and support the First Amendment right to free speech. And any person wishing to speak either under the agendized or non-agendized items they need to fill out a request to speak form that's at the back of the, right there by the door, and submit the form to the secretary prior to the end of the public comment period. During the public comment period, each member of the public will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. The public must direct their comments to the chairperson of the commission. Let's see, the next item is public comments. Now we'll move on to public comment. Are there any speakers for items not on the agenda?
We do have one, Fred Banuelos.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hey, I want to see if you can help out with this problem. We have a problem in our city with people parking in bike lanes. If you go to Instagram's Bike Movell, you'll see the ongoing problem that we have. I recently spoke at Valverde Unified School District to try to come up with some solutions so people don't park in the bike lanes. I mean, somebody planned for us to have bike lanes. Somebody had planned for us to have parking, and it seems like it's not working. So, you know, I don't want to tie up deputies with going out there and writing tickets. I want to see some type of solution. Anything that you develop in the future with bike lanes, can we put like maybe delineators, offset parking, something that keeps the bicyclists safe? You know, do we have parking control? Can we get parking control to go out there and start giving tickets? I mean, it's against the law. We got to show our kids, you know, set a good example by not breaking the law and parking in those bike lanes. We have a major thoroughfare, Juan Batista Trail, that goes from our city down to Lake Paris, and that's where I live, down in that area. It's just unsafe for bicyclists. So I'm hoping that we can do something, you know, throw up some more signs, throw up some more paint, especially red paint, where this is happening. Again, if you go to Instagram, Bike Movell, you'll see that it's constantly an issue. So I'm assuming that you guys have jurisdiction, you have some type of planning, you know, if anything in the future. I think there might even be something in tonight's agenda that talks about bike lanes. You know, throw up some delineators, like I said, offset parking. If you want us to get on our bikes and start riding in this beautiful city on the trails, we got to feel safe. I just started riding my e-bike. I want to start riding in the city, and it's hard to do that. Down at Valverde, one of the things that I saw was even school buses were parking in the bike lanes, and they start to go in the number 2 lane, and it makes it very unsafe because the bicyclists are trying to go around, and there's always there's a lot of accidents down there in that area. If you look at that center median, the fence in that area, it's always damaged. I don't know if people are getting in accidents with bikes, but it's very unsafe, and I hope that we can do something to make it better in our city. Bike lanes. Tell people to stop parking in the bike lanes. Constantly see it all the time. I got 22 seconds. Usually I don't have extra time. I haven't come here in a while. It's good seeing you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
We have no more cards.
All right, the next item on the agenda is approval of the consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and non-controversial and may be enacted by one motion unless a member of the commission requests that the item be removed for separate action. Items withdrawn from the report discussion will be heard before an action on the consent calendar. Questions or comments from the public on the consent calendar matter must pertain to the subject under consideration. At this time, would any commissioner like to pull an item from the consent calendar for a separate vote? Okay, I will take that as a no. Do we have any public comments for the items on the consent calendar?
We do not.
Okay. May I have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar?
Also motion.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We have a vote. Okay, the motion does carry. The next item on the agenda is non-public hearing items, and we don't have any items at this time. All right, so we are on the public hearing items. Number 1, self-storage project conditional use permit, PEN 24-0064. Do we have a staff report?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I'm Claudia Manrique, Associate Planner and the Case Planner for the Safe Store project. The applicant is seeking approval of a conditional use permit to develop a 126,600 square foot, 3-story self-storage facility that has 887 storage units. The site is vacant and is located on the east side of Marina Beach Drive, south of Alessandro Boulevard. The project is located within the Community Commercial District. Surrounding development consists of vacant land that's zoned for residential use to the south, a commercial plant nursery to the east, and vacant property land for commercial use to the north and west and across Marina Beach Drive. The municipal code allows for self-storage facilities within the Community Commercial District, subject to approval of a conditional use permit. The proposed project, as designed and conditioned, satisfies all the requirements of the general plan and municipal code. Here's the site plan. The site has been designed with 2 points of access from Marina Beach Drive, including access to the proposed commercial development located north of the project site. The main entrance to the building will be located on Marina Beach Drive. The facility complies with the parking requirements of Title IX of the Municipal Code. Here we have the elevations of the project. They've been designed to be compatible with and complement the surrounding commercial development. The proposed elevations incorporate various building materials and architectural design features. Or additional sides of the elevations. And last, we have a conceptual of the elevations for you. For tonight's meeting, the public notice was sent to property owners of record within 600 feet of the project site, as well as posted on site and published in the Press Enterprise newspaper. As of tonight, staff has received no comments on or regarding the project. We're recommending approval of adoption of Resolution 2025-04, determining that the conditional use permit is a categorical exempt under CEQA as a Class 32 exemption, which is an infill, and approve conditional use permit PIN 240064, subject to the attached conditions of approval. We have the applicant here to answer any further questions, and they will also have a short presentation for the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any commissioner questions for staff?
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of questions I want to ask staff. Does this project provide screening? And how does this project provide screening? Screening for us, like shielding it from the street when people driving by.
Sure, so the required landscaping, there'll be street trees along the Marina Beach Drive frontage. We also, as you can see from the elevations, there were enhancements to the elevations to also provide a nice frontage along Marina Beach Drive. And then at the rear property, there'll be additional screening with some more trees on the east, on the back of the building.
And I have a couple more, if it's okay, Mr. Chair. Does the design of the proposed project front major arterial streets?
Yeah, so the main frontage is Marina Beach Drive.
Okay.
And
And one other question I have is how, when you say the project is compatible with the surrounding properties, what, in layman's term, you answer that question? I mean, how is it? Just asking.
sure. So as part of, for the style of the elevations, and then a lot of the earth tone colors and materials are match not only the existing gas station that's across Marina Beach, but the other projects that have been approved. So we have a car wash, and then I believe further west, there's another storage facility that was approved middle of last year. So we took into account to what the style and color schemes that were used on those projects when we were reviewing this project as well.
So the colors will be almost be the same as the surrounding buildings that will go up, like you were saying, the tones.
Yes, they'll
Just
be complementary
Okay.
earth tones, so they won't be exact. We don't require the exact paint color, but something that's very similar. And it's also very similar to a lot of the color schemes that you'll see on a lot of the residential development throughout the town.
Okay, so that what you mean by compatibility. Okay. But thank you for that clarification. I just, when you say compatibility, I'm thinking other things, but you clarified it. And one other question I have, I just written it down. Is there a minimum or maximum height for buildings in the community commercial district? Meaning heights of the buildings are there?
Right.
Because when I'm asking that, it's because I'm just reading the community site development standards from the municipal code. That's why I'm asking.
So
There isn't a max height in the community commercial district. However, additional development standards will come into play the higher the building gets. So so for buildings that are over 30 feet, I believe, it requires an additional setback. So that allows it to be compatible with the surroundings. So the taller it gets, the more of a setback is
So the
required.
setback is the taller the building, the further the setback has to be.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't understand that, but thank you again. I appreciate it.
Any other commissioner questions for staff?
Can we go back to the, I guess, the aerial view of the plot plan? Because the project site, I mean, 125,000 square foot building, where exactly is the setback? I mean, how far, that's a big property, I've seen it before, so where exactly, how close are they gonna be to the property behind it, I guess? Because the streets are gonna, it looks like their entrances are not streets, they're just entrances, right? So where exactly on this map, you haven't really showed me that. If you go to the other, yeah, it's just, so I don't see how far back, is that going all the way as far back to the property line? I don't think so, right? So how much further back from that building to the back of the property line is there?
So there's a 15-foot setback from the east, or what we're calling the rear of the building, to the property line to the east.
So they are taking that whole space all the way?
With it leaving the 15 feet.
Okay. Has any of the other properties, and I don't know, since I've been on the planning commission, I haven't seen any of its neighboring properties have any is there any other developments to the east, to the south or north of this property right now? Are those still vacant lots?
Is my understanding there's one parcel north of this site.
Yeah.
And that there's a project in review for that site. But there has been, to my knowledge, we haven't had any proposals for the residential to the south.
Okay. And has there been any discussions about the amount of self-storages and storage facilities in the city? This is the third one that we're looking at in the last, let's say, 5 months, 6 months, and it's just bringing some concerns to, especially when there's one approved right across the street, approved a few months ago. So I'd like to hear from the planning department what their reasoning would be to build another storage facility right across. And I'm sure you guys know what they say about storage facilities being inundated into cities. You know what they say. So, and if you don't, we can Google it together. So,
I'm gonna definitely
I have
have to
concerns
Google it
about
because
that.
I don't know. I want to know now.
Any commissioner questions for staff? Questions?
I have one more question. Is there any future widening of Merino Beach? Where the property is?
Yeah, there is. So as a part of this development, they have to do their street improvements.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Questions for staff?
sorry, one more question. On that note, so they will be bringing their property, the street will be widened in front of their project, correct? Will it be widened into the project and then widened back out, I'm assuming, or there's no plans for them to continue all the way to the corner? Or do we plan on having the northern that's his property, whoever owns that, but trying to understand how that's gonna look. Especially what's been going on in Myrtle Beach with that weird thing you guys did up the street with that 3 lanes and 1 lane thing, which I still don't make any sense. I live nearby, so I'm just trying to understand what your plan is for this right here.
Good evening, Commissioners. Yes, part of their conditions of approval is that prior to approval of their street improvement plans, they'll be submitting an alignment exhibit so we could analyze how it plays into north and south along Moreno Beach.
Thank you.
Chair, good evening. Angelica Frausto-Lupo, Director of Community Development. I did want to address Commissioner Cobian's question a bit. First, I'll say that I do believe it's a question for the applicant to discuss perhaps their market study, but did want to mention that our Moreno Valley Municipal Code does not have any distance requirements of similar or same type of businesses. So, but at that point, I think when the applicant comes up to give his presentation, that would be a question for him.
Okay. Are there any other commissioner questions for staff? Okay. At this time, would the applicant like to speak? We're going to open up the public hearing, and what do we got here? 6:22, so we're going to open up the public hearing at 6:22 p.m. and with the applicant, there's the applicant right there. All right.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Brent McManigal. I'm a land use counsel for Safe Store with Fenimore Law. Tonight, in the audience with me is a representative from Safe Store, as well as our civil engineer. We appreciate the time and consideration for the matter tonight. So about Safe Store. Safe Store is one of the largest privately held developers of high-quality, climate-controlled storage, self-storage facilities in the United States. They have extensive experience in designing and developing self-storage facilities, and they work primarily with indoor Class A facilities. No single stories, these are all multi-stories. They operate about 3.5 million square feet and have a pipeline in the development of about 1.2 million square feet. In the cities that they come into, they become a community partner. You get active in the chamber and other citizen and community groups. Some of the project attributes that we have is this is a new and significant investment into the city by Safe Store. The existing market demand calls for more modern, climate-controlled facilities used by homeowners, rental housing, businesses, medical and legal professionals for document storage. Oftentimes we find that news developments like this is a catalyst for additional investment and development in the local area. We've worked extensively with staff, and we want to appreciate staff's hard work in getting this project to where it is today. It is a better project as we've worked through some of the many issues with the project, as well as coming up with high-quality architecture and landscaping. The improvements to Moreno Beach Drive, which will be widened in front of our property, but then we'll work with staff on the lane configuration to make sure that it is safe. Also, as mentioned, we've already accommodated the proposed project to the north with a shared access agreement between the parties, so to minimize the curb cuts on Moreno Beach Drive. Some of the features of the project, and this is a colored rendering that we just got in. Apologize to staff for not having this ahead of time, but you can see on the right-hand side of the screen the landscape setback from the east, 15 feet. We have street trees and trees all around the property. Again, this is 879 units, all climate controlled with interior access. There's no outdoor storage. As staff mentioned, we meet all of the city development standards. We have on-site stormwater management. We have drought-tolerant landscaping. We have, in addition to the parking, we have designated loading and unloading spaces. And once again, shared access with the property to the north. Security is always a question. This site is security accessed by the tenants, but also there's 24-hour secure video surveillance around the property that has direct access to the home office and local management. Again, you've seen this before, but as I mentioned, when we started this project, this building did not look like this. With the input of staff giving us direction and asking for building that does not look like self-storage, but blends in with as an office building or hotel building, something that people will like and see. We have three-dimensional architecture, as mentioned, and we also have architecture on all four sides. In conclusion, we're asking that the Planning Commission accept staff's recommendation and approve the conditional use permit. Approval of the project shows support for new development, signifies a significant investment into the city by a national company, and it provides a state-of-the-art climate-controlled self-storage facility in the city. And lastly, and addresses some of the questions, there's an existing demand for high-quality and climate-controlled self-storage facilities that this project will support. Thank you, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any commissioner questions of the applicant?
Sorry. Is to the south, is that a driveway strictly on your property, or is that a road that will be finished at a certain time, or is that all yours?
To the south, that is our access driveway onto our property. It's on the southern end of Moreno Beach Road. It is strictly onto our property.
And are clients going to be able to have 24-hour access to this?
No. Their access is approximately from 5 a.m. to about 11 p.m. And each client will have their own unique access code to get into the building. So that's monitored by computer. And then we have staff on site in the office during normal business hours, 7 days a week.
My final question, this may come later in your planning, but I noticed that you, in your layout inside of your building, I see stairs, but how are they going to get their items? Are there elevators going to be in this?
There will be elevators, but we also have to have stairs for fire code and
Yes.
stuff. But some people, if they have a light box, may take the stairs, but we do have elevators.
I just didn't see them on your layout, so I was just curious.
Yeah, understood. Good
Thank you.
questions. Thank you.
Good evening. So I have a couple of questions. So the building is climate controlled, correct? I mean,
Correct.
some of the storage units. So what kind of items do you see clients store in there that need it to be climate controlled?
Well, the entire building is climate controlled. So with an outdoor storage unit, when it's 100 degrees out in the summertime, those storage units are 150 degrees. So it keeps people's belongings at a more temperate, so they don't rot. You don't have things disintegrate, and it's better for storage. It's like storing in a house.
Okay, so are we talking about like residential customers or corporate customers that would store products, different types of items, things of that nature?
It'd be a mix of both.
Mix of both.
Yeah.
So you guys, you own other storage facilities like this across the country?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so what issues, if any, have you ever seen with these type of storage units? Like what issues have come up in the past?
I can take a swing at it, and then we can have the representative from Safe Store. But my understanding is they don't have issues with these. People come in. It's like any short-term storage or rental unit that you see outside with a roll-up door. Those are the old ones. This is all indoors. They may have roll-up doors, but it's all inside. It's climate controlled, and it's safer because they have limited access points. Somebody can't break into the site and cut the locks. These are all self-locking, but you have the doors that people can't access, and people's stuff doesn't get damaged by the heat.
are there different type of storage units as far as like size, like, you know, medium to small?
Yeah.
What is the price range of renting a storage like that? I'm sorry,
ahead.
I'm really going in on you right now.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know the price range at this point. I don't know if Safe Store knows the price range at this point,
Okay.
but it would be competitive with the market, because if you're too much, you aren't gonna be able to rent the units.
right.
So,
Thank you.
yes.
I'm just wondering, on your rendering, we see the picture, and is it going to look like this? Because we have approved other projects in the past, and when we see the final product, it doesn't even look like what we've actually, the rendering is. Or is this just a,
No, this isn't just the pretty picture as a sales job. We have with this, and it was shown on the staff report, the largest individual elevation sheets have a color and material board that call out all of the colors in here, the materials, and the types of products, type of glazing that we would be held to implement those through the plan check process. So this is an artist rendering of what the building's going to look like. Just like the elevations, this is a perspective of the elevations included in your staff report. My experience with planning staff going through, if you want to change that, you've got to go through a process to change the colors. But this is what the building is supposed to be looking like.
okay, the color is gonna look like that. Is the building itself gonna look like this?
Yes. Yeah, this is the design of the building that staff has worked with us and asked for upgrades. You can see the overhangs in the middle of the building. You've got a varied pitch height of the elevations. The lower elevation roof line is at 35 feet. The maximum height is 37 feet 6 inches. But they didn't want a building that just was plain Jane, looked like something that someone just put up. No, they asked us to, and gave us a lot of examples of other development through the city, some of the new, more modern hotels off of Day Street, some office buildings along, I think it's Alessandro. So you guys need to meet this quality. And the staff was very difficult, very hard on us, but very fair in the end. And we satisfied and worked through a lot of issues on this property.
That's why I was asking, because it is a beautiful building, and I know that it is upper scale. You're gonna have climate control, which makes it very comfortable for people to go in there, because I've seen the old ones, and it's miserable, especially in the summer. Nobody wants to go in those. But that was my question, because like I said, in the past, we've approved projects, and when we see them, it's like, where did this come out of? So I'm glad that they are being sticky, the staff, because this is a beautiful building, and I think it's time that the city gets things that are very attractive.
Is there going to be an attendant there 24/7?
No.
The reason why I'm asking is because in doing my research, a lot of social media influencers are turning these type of storage units into like their daily content. And so I've just seen it all across TikTok and Instagram, and this is like a really nice building. This is exactly what they're looking for, actually. And they, just roll it on up and they turn it into their content for their day, their offers for the day. Have you guys seen that in the past in your other buildings? And if you have had that problem, what is there going to be to mitigate that?
Yeah, I don't believe so, but we do have on-site staff during normal business hours, 7 days a week. So there was somebody to police that. The buildings do self-lock, and we know through the security system who's in the building at any times to make sure that nobody's doing that. So yeah, we wouldn't want that either. So.
How's it going?
Good. You guys are asking good questions, so I appreciate it.
Couple questions. This construction of this project, it looks, is this, when I look at this, it looks like tilt-up construction. Is this tilt-up?
No, I don't
Gonna be
believe
built out of
it's tilt-up.
CMU?
It's-
No, and it's fine. I mean, it's not but during the process of getting built, they're gonna be getting phone calls until they realize there's no dock doors. So I'm just questioning, 3 stories, it's gonna be tilt-up construction, right? Or CMU, you can't build 3 stories out of CMU this high.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I learned a little bit. It is going to be tilt-up with sliding rolling doors for the access. Sliding glass doors for the, to get access into it.
And then the floors are end to end, 120 square feet, so you guys will be, those are all concrete all the way up across each floor, correct?
I would
It's
presume
not a
so.
wood mezzanine, right?
No.
Nah, okay. They're Arco Murray, correct? Yeah, they are. I know. Yes, I know. Yeah, I know, I'm very familiar with Arco and their practices out here in California. That's all I'm asking, because there's been some concerns on some of their practices. So you mentioned you worked with community groups. Are you working, community groups, what does that mean? Are you working, do you guys have a community benefits agreement with anybody?
No, we do not have a community benefit agreement with anybody. We work with community groups. It's up to the local staff who they get involved with. It's generally the Chamber of Commerce. They may get involved with a homeless shelter. It's up to the local staff of who they want to partner with and help support.
Okay. What about any community benefits agreements with any local residents,
No.
labor unions, anything like that?
None.
Okay, thank you.
A question, Mr. Chair. What about outdoor lighting? I was just looking at it, where are the light poles and all that stuff?
You know what, they aren't shown in the rendering here, but we will have outdoor lighting in the parking lot. They will not exceed the city's height. They have to be shielded and hooded, and we'll have to meet the city's nighttime light standards at the pavement. So,
Also, I was reading in the staff report about, and I guess it's in the conditional of approval about the gold standard, green building.
Yeah.
Now, what are you guys doing with that? I mean, what specifically are you guys doing to satisfy that?
well, this building, as all construction, has to comply with the California Green Building Code, and we will meet those standards. We have to meet them in order to get our building permit. So the California Green Building Code, I'm not an expert on it, but it's for Title 24, it's for energy efficiency. So you have to have things like dual glazed windows. You may have to have a cool roof, a light colored roof, extra insulation. I mean, it's what all buildings have to meet today, and we'll meet the California Building Code.
And one other question, what about solar panels?
If it's required by the code, they could be installed. So that decision, I don't believe has been made. But I don't know, standing here today, if that is a requirement on commercial buildings. But again, we will meet the California Building Code. If they're a requirement, they will be installed.
Yeah, I was just asking that question. I'm just curious. I have a curious mind. Thank you.
You know, one comment I'd like to make is that I see this building's gonna be sprinkled, and also you got a fire alarm, which is a big plus, the building that size, so thank you for doing that.
Absolutely.
I guess the city, or the fire department required that, but that's a good deal. And I like the architecture on this. This will be a big plus for that part of town. Really big plus.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. I'm looking at the artist rendition. 2 questions. In general storage, you got the outside units. People can just pull right up to their unit with the U-Haul.
Yep.
How many access points are there for that to happen, for trucks to pull up, unload, load their stuff up? Because it kind of looks like there aren't too many access points to be able to get. It looks like parking around, but where are the trucks going to go? And
Let me go back to the site plan. We have 2 access points. You can see on the south, there's a dark arrow. I don't know if this has a pointer.
Oh, okay.
There it is.
Dark arrow there, north one there.
Right, and on the south side, there's one. And then on the west side, facing Moreno Beach Road, about 2/3 up the building, there's another dark arrow. Those are the 2 loading points. They're at grade, so a truck can back up to them, or they they have the loading zones right next to them. They can wheel in and access their units.
How many units?
876.
Sounds like
879 units,
sounds like
3
that's-
stories.
There might have to be a schedule.
Yeah.
2 trucks at both of those access, they're blocked in. Now everybody else got to wait.
Yeah, they will walk a little farther. But I mean, this design has been proven and how they lay out their buildings. So I'm sure they take that into account.
Okay. Next question. Did you speak to the business to the east, Adams Hall Nursery?
Yes.
Okay. Is he gonna, well, he'd be a great guy to partner with to put some of that landscaping out there.
Understood.
Okay.
Noted.
Yeah, I was just concerned about that with only 2 access point and 800 units, as soon as you open up, you're gonna get a bunch of people trying to get in there with only 2 access points.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are other just man doors, people doors to walk in, but those are the loading doors.
Okay, so there are other access points.
Yeah,
Walking
they're
access
walking
point, not
access
necessarily
points.
truck access points.
I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. So yeah, there are other access points to the office and other locations for people to walk in, and then you have 2 extra wide loading doors, sliding loading doors.
Okay. I think all my other questions, you guys answered my questions for me. I think that's about it for me, even though, they may be tough, but they're nice people in the staff. They really are.
Absolutely. No, I enjoy working with them. We all do.
Any other?
One more. How long has this land been vacant?
I'm not aware, and I'm semi-local. I raised my kids in Riverside. We've been through this area quite a bit. I'm not aware of it ever being developed. So I think it's been vacant.
I would say
Forever.
that I've been in the city for 54
Okay.
years, riding my bicycle. That lot has been empty since I've been a kid.
Yeah, and based on the title report and some of the issues, we got some blanket easements to the benefit of Eastern Municipal Water District that were established in the 30s that are going to be relocated when we put on. So from title, I don't think it's ever been developed. May have been farmed at one point way back in the day, but no physical building on it.
Thank you.
Any other commissioner questions for the applicant? All right, if there are no other questions for the applicant, thank you, sir. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. I'm still here, so if any questions come up, feel free to ask.
Thank you very much. All right, we're going to now move on to the public comment portion of our agenda. The clerk will call upon each person who has requested to speak. All right, do we have any speakers?
We do. We have 4.
Mhm.
Seth Cox, followed by Nacy Antoine, followed by Krista Hawkins.
Evening, Commissioners, staff. I'm Seth Cox. I live in District 3. I live less than a half mile away from this place. I am against it. I'll say that up front, all right? Little history, yes, you guys did approve a conditional use permit for another facility directly across the street in May of 2024. It's 997 units. Okay, you're supposedly going to vote on this, and it's 887. That's 1,870 storage units across the street from each other. I don't believe that's what anyone in District 3 wants and or needs. Okay, I'll state that. I'm a numbers guy, I'm a detail guy. I've gotten 3 different numbers in this whole meeting right here and how many units it is, the staff numbers, the builder's numbers, and your documentation numbers. They don't add up. There's several units off. So somebody should be more detail oriented. I read the charts, 37 feet, 6 inches tall at its tallest point, okay? if you're thinking about blending in on the east end, you're not gonna blend in, okay? There's no building out there that tall. You can't put enough trees in it, you know, to cover it, all right? It's gonna be a behemoth on the corner. Again, on the numbers, 42,638 per floor comes out to 127 something, not 126. 887 units, 14 parking spaces for that many units, and 2 doors for people to unload their trucks. Doesn't add up, okay? You're gonna have people backed up or having to make appointments to drop things off or pick it up. It may be a community development project, but I think it's only gonna maybe be an economic gain for somebody. Let's do a little math, okay? 887 units. Even if you're 90% capacity, that's 800 units at $200 a month, times 12. Anybody care to do that math real quick? $1.92 million that they're gonna make on storage units. And believe me, I know what storage units cost in Moreno Valley. I've been using one for a while. And $200 is low end. And if they're high end, it's gonna be more money. They're exiting on the main thoroughfare, 2 entrance and exits on Moreno Beach Boulevard. Not a good thing when the other one's gonna be exiting on Moreno Beach Boulevard also. You're gonna have traffic. The report says the project will not result in any significant effect related to traffic use, air quality, water quality, whatever. It will have significant issues in traffic, okay?
Thank you, sir, for your time. Appreciate it. Are there any other speakers?
Next up is Nacy Antoine, followed by Krista Hawkins and Roy Blecker.
Good evening. I am almost sick and tired of coming to these meetings. It makes me wonder. I'm totally against it. I wonder, do you guys really look at the buildings and the business that you bring to our city? I'm a resident for 30-something years, 36 years. Own 3 homes in this area. And I keep coming up here saying we get the same type of business on every corner, right next to each other. I didn't know anything about the big storage unit already been approved. And then another thing I want to touch on, they say they send letters out in the mail. I never got mine. I had no idea. If we wouldn't have pulled over and seen the sign, we wouldn't have never knew what it was coming. And I'm asking you guys to really pay attention to what you guys allow. Everything they come up here and bring, we don't have to approve it. We don't have to approve it because our tax dollars are not spent right no way because the city is dirty and nasty. So I'm just like really confused. I'm more here of like, let's get it together in Moreno Valley. It makes me really question, like, do everybody really live here? Because if you really live here and you love your city and you drive around, you'll stop approving every little thing that comes. And we're not seeing that. We're not seeing this. We seeing gas stations right next door, 2 car washes right next door to each other, gas stations within 2 feet. You can stick your hand out and touch the other one. You guys got to really take your jobs more serious. And if we got a 900+ building coming for storage, what do we need another one for? That don't even make good sense. And you guys really need to really take y'all job more serious and pay attention to what you put. We know the lots are empty, but fill it with something that we need. Moreno Valley have no restaurants. All this on this side is Riverside. That ain't even Moreno Valley. Put a shopping center over there. All up in that area. Do something else. Stop letting these people come and put whatever they want. Just take it to Moreno Valley. Throw it over there. They'll take it. They need some money. And I'm serious. Y'all need to stop it. Take y'all job more serious. And don't just say, oh, yeah, that's nice. Everybody come up here. We ain't got to be friendly with them. This our neighborhood. I guarantee you, if you was going to their neighborhood, they'll stop you. So all we asking for you guys is to take your job more serious and put the right business in our area where we live. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
Krista Hawkins, followed by Roy Blecker.
Good evening. I second everything that was already said by Seth and Nacy. I'm also now a homeowner. I've lived in Moreno Valley all my life, and I'm just against it. I really feel disheartened. I feel like you guys don't take your job seriously. And I know partially some of you guys are new, so partially it's some for like the other people who sat on the board, but I feel like you guys think your community is a joke. I just don't agree with it. I feel like there's more that Moreno Valley can do. There's more progress we can have than just storage units. I also wasn't aware of the other storage unit that's already going up. So I don't see, I'm not good at math, I'm good at words. So I don't see the need of 2,000 plus storages needed on that side of town. And was it Mr. Ray? He said, I think this is perfect for this side of town. Do you live on that side of town? Have you came out and spoke to the people, the homeowners, people who are in that community, asked them what we need or what would be great for that side of the town? We don't need any more storage units. It's gonna cause noise. It can cause rodent issues. There's not gonna be 24-hour security, so there can be loitering. There could be homeless people. And so when Nicole said, yes, a lot of people and creators, they do live in storage units. They start to live in there, they create content in there, and then it's gonna be super busy. I just don't think this type of thing is needed in Moreno Valley, and I wish you guys had a vision for us. Because right now it seems like the Planning Commission doesn't have a vision for this side of the town, District 3. And I feel like we, over there, it's very nice, and it's starting to deteriorate a little bit. You guys approving dispensaries, car washes right next to each other that we don't need. I just want you guys to have a vision for Moreno Valley and help us out. I know we have to, at the end of the day, this is a business. We have to pay bills, things have to get done, but let's be strategic. Let's show somewhat that you guys care about your community and you care about the concerns we have. And I wish more people would have shown up, but I encourage you guys to go on Nextdoor. I did post the app. I posted about this on Nextdoor, and there's 80 plus comments of people disagreeing with this happening. And you know what they said? It doesn't matter. We're not gonna come to the meeting because they're gonna do what they wanna do anyway. Money talks. So I want you guys to prove to them today, and I can go back and say on the app that, okay, money does talk, but these people care about the community.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? Oh, there's Roy.
Roy Blecker.
This project here, to me, looks like it's better than the average bear or mini storage warehouse you see. To address Mr. Cobain's concern about why there's so many mini storages or any project coming up, I will remind you, if no projects come up, the 7 of you wouldn't have a job or a title. So you ought to be grateful there are some, at least somebody's willing to invest in Moreno Valley and willing to invest with a quality project of this size and scope. If you don't approve this project like others, then if somebody else with a higher end development wants to come in, what do you think their decision's going to be? A lot of the stuff you make in these decisions are very critical and can have overreaching impacts. It's a lot, and the people in the community, and I understand their concerns, but if you look at projects like this, these are one of the few projects that bring in more revenue to the city and the tax base than they use in services. Every one of you practically with a home, you don't bring in, your tax base does not bring enough to support the services, so you got to have it somewhere. So if you keep rejecting these or coming out or say nothing's coming in, your community will die. So if you don't want a dirty or nasty community, look to build and make it where you're going to bring the projects, money, and facilities everybody wants. It's not a zero-sum game. You have to look at the overall picture, and I believe when you look at the overall picture on this project, there's nothing, there's no possible way I see you could not approve something like that. And I can't speak for this company, but people ask, well, why did they come in and build this and that? Because your community's going to get what your community demands. These companies do all sorts of market research on whatever project they're coming in. And believe me, at least from my opinion, they don't come in to lose money on it. They're investing in this community because they see a need to service and they can make a profit on it. It's the American way. That's the way this country started in 1776. life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And please don't crush that, because if you do, you're going to crush the will and dreams of everyone, and that would be a tragedy. And we've done that too many times in Maria Valley. So hopefully, I recommend you wholeheartedly approve this project.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
We have no more speakers.
Okay. At this time, would the applicant like to provide any more information?
Thank you, Chairman. Members of the commission, just two quick things. There was a question about traffic and people entering and exiting the site. This project is conditioned with 2 access points, but we do have a condition of approval that those access points are right in and right out. So they cannot cross the median that's out there. So it's right in, right out. That's a staff condition and requirement to make sure that there is no bottlenecking out there. And also, I was reminded by my client on the content people, a couple of things about that, because it was mentioned in one of the comments. These units do not have power within them. There are interior cameras that monitor all the hallways and who's in and out of the building. And it is also prohibited in the leases. People can't have offices and do different things. So we feel that will not be an issue. I'm going to look at it since it was brought up, but that won't be a problem at this location. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if at this time, if there's no more speakers for the testimony, then we will close the public testimony.
We have a
I have another question for the
We'd have to
applicant.
go back and open up the public hearing.
Well, he was up there. I thought we might get another stab at him.
Yeah, let's see. We go to public hearing and then we move into the next section. So, let's see. Yeah. So we'd have to go back and open up the public hearing section to ask questions of the applicant.
I just have one question.
Okay, so let's go back. Then I believe I can do that, right, Steve? All right, so let's reopen the public hearing section. And is there anyone that has questions of the applicant?
I do. Since my colleague, Ms. Taylor, asked that question about those influencers and people wanting to go in there, and because it is going to be climate controlled, possibly even stay in there at some point. My concern is there isn't going to be anybody, you say, on premises. You're going to have cameras. So you're not really going to have somebody there?
No, there will be people on site, staff members on site during normal business hours, 7 days a week.
Okay.
And then the access to the renters is limited to 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then there's video surveillance, both interior and exterior of the building, for all hours. So if they see anybody inside, then they will call the proper authorities and the management to get them out. And I'm sure that there are procedures where the staff have to make sure everybody's out, and there are no cars, so people can't hide. So, yeah.
Yeah, my concern was that because they're just like all the time you see people that just do things and they go undetected, and before you know it, it becomes a huge problem. And you see it all the time in the news. Once they do something.
And we share that concern. We share that concern and do not want our business and the investment here damaged, destroyed, or used in a way that's not authorized.
Because I know you said there's not really like going to be any kind of like facilities for them to like set up,
right,
shop or anything, but some people are very, very crafty, and they become geniuses all overnight.
Yeah, and that's why I think why you want a big company like Safe Store that will make the investment, because they're backed. They want to make sure that their facility stays Class A, that they keep the renters and not have any problems. So
I just hope that if there does come an issue, it's addressed quickly and swiftly, because The minute you don't do that, word of mouth, social media, before you know it, it becomes an issue, and we just don't want that kind of thing in the city.
Neither do we. We completely agree with you. Thank you very much for the comments.
Well, for staff.
Yeah. So when I hear that there's 80 residents that are on an app talking about that they don't want this storage facility, that's what concerns me the most. And in the last meeting that we were here, I said when people have a problem, they show up and they voice their opinion, and that's what's happening here today. So my question is, the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So the storage unit that's close by, I want to ask staff, has there been any issues with that storage unit property? Like as far as like rodents, loitering, storing things that they shouldn't be storing, any kind of calls to the police? Have there been any issues?
That site hasn't been built yet. It's currently in building plan check.
Okay, so there's nothing there yet.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I was gonna ask the developer. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Is it too late?
we're still there.
Okay. I have one question to ask you, sir. Will you guys, I was thinking about this, will you guys install a raised medium to prevent left turns?
You know what, that will
Sorry,
be work.
Ian.
It's in the site.
There will be a median in there. At the initial stage, I don't know if it's gonna be striped, if they're gonna have delineators, or if it'll be raised. That will be worked out with Public Works during the plan check process.
Okay, so.
But we do have a condition of approval
I see it.
that says the two entrances and exits will be right in and right out.
Yeah, I see condition 141 on the conditions of approval. I see it.
Yeah.
But I understand, I was just asking, but that decision will be left up to the city.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Moreno Beach Drive will be built out to its ultimate right-of-way. I don't know if the city, if the standard design has a raised median or if it's a painted median, but I know that for us to be in compliance with our conditions of approval, we will only have right in and right out.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I have another question. Don't go away.
I won't go away.
It's just there, things are popping up. Is there a huge demand for facilities like this in this area? Because since they're building one and now you guys are building another, I mean, they are 997 is the other one, and yours is supposedly 887. That's a lot of storage facilities for a certain area. Is there a huge demand for that?
Yes, this area is not served by self-storage. When I'm meaning, there is a market demand, and in the self-storage units, they look at the number of square feet of self-storage per person in a market area. The market area is generally about 3 miles. And the national average supply is in a market area, so within 3 miles, is 7.5 square feet per person of storage. This area, the 3 mile radius, has a current market supply of 1.25 square feet per person, or 83% underserved on the national average. Addition, all of the units that are around are very old. The average age of the existing units is 22 years old. So there is a market demand, and today more and more people are wanting climate controlled, so this will be utilized.
Staff, I don't know if you can come up with this or not, but within that, how many miles? You said 3.3
miles.
3 miles? What is the zoning of that 3 miles? If it's all commercial, that's fine too, but I'm
If
just,
we can bring back staff's presentation, we have an aerial map that might be able to illustrate a little bit better the surrounding.
And the question being that this area is known for larger lots, and most people with larger lots do not use storage units. They usually will have their own storage.
We have a mixture of different uses. As you can see, we have community commercial surrounding the project site. And we also have R3 designation for residential, as well as our business, our office commercial district as well.
And just one last thing, and then I'll leave it alone. Approximately, what did you guys figure the population for that 3 miles? You had to have a base for your formula of so many square feet for so many people. So in this area, how many?
We would have to run the math. I don't have it right off the top of my head, but I mean, it's the population is we can figure it out. I don't have it right off the top of my head.
With all the commercial around there, that there isn't that many people live in there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir, again.
All right.
Appreciate it.
I'll stay here until it closes because I'm getting my 5,000 steps in today.
I'll be here all week.
I hope
Thank
not.
you.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, there are no more speakers, and then we will close the public testimony at 7:07 p.m. and move on to deliberations or a motion. A lot of deliberations was already going on. Or do we have a motion? Deliberations or a motion?
I'll say a couple of things. There was a couple comments made today by the public. I want to, first of all, make it clear that I, too, want some nice restaurants and that street to be, to have all my wish list. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work that way. Us here, planning commissioners, are residents of the city. We are not employees. This might as well be a volunteer thing because the stipend we get is maybe cover a small meal. So I want to make that clear. Yeah.
Nowadays, yeah.
We, as commissioners, do not bring in developers. We don't bring in projects. We are here to hear projects that are brought before us that the city has deemed appropriate for that area, per the zoning, and what's best for the city. We're put in tough situations too, where we have to sometimes support a project that otherwise would not have if we had a second choice. But I will tell you that area's been vacant forever, and it is zoned for commercial. It's a pretty good looking project. I mean, looking at it, I'm not a big fan of the height of it, but there's no dock doors. It's not a warehouse. It's not a distribution center. It's a good looking storage facility compared to other ones that I've seen come. So I just want to make that clear. We have other areas that are zoned for the downtown. That's going to bring, hopefully, Lewis Group real soon. It's going to bring a lot of restaurants to a lot of areas. And there's other areas that are going to be built for that. But until then, I guess this is what we got to work with.
No, any other deliberations? Daryl?
Oh, yeah, well, I look at it like this. I was reading the housing element, and 39% of the residents are renters in this town. And there will be new housing developments that's coming online soon, and notwithstanding the cost of older and new housing today, both single and multifamily housing included, do not provide the amount of storage space desired and required by renters and homeowners. So when you think about it, you have to factor in the fact that we're looking for the here and now, but the future, that it will, think about 39% of people in here are renters. And these houses that coming online don't have the necessary storage centers that they could keep their stuff in their homes because the houses have smaller garages and smaller backyards. So where are they going to put the stuff? They're going to either junk up the yards or put it all in their rooms. So there is a demand for it. That's how I look at it. As much as I've been on the other side where you guys are, I fight like, I ain't gonna say the word, for a greater quality of life. But when I look at a project like this, we gotta have new thinking, and this project has what I call the new Jack thinking, meaning that this is not your particular orange and ugly looking storage centers. This is a new type of storage center that will meet the need in our community that we do. We just have to face facts. People in this community, we have a lot of renters. That's just facts. And where are they going to put their stuff? So we're meeting a basic need in this area as a permitted use. And the things that we talk about we want there, and other things, we have to consider what the general plan says and what the zoning for that area is. We can't consider anything that we wish and we don't like it or we hate it or there's too many of this or too many of that. That's for another time, another place where that could be argued. Because right now, we have to deal with what's in front of us right now. It's the general plan, what the rules say right this moment. We have to abide by those rules. No matter if you like it, you don't like it, we have to abide by it. And that's what the developers, and that's what we have to live by. We have to make decisions that complies to what the general plan says in the zoning of this area. And I looked down the list, I checked the boxes. That's why I was asking all those questions, because I'm looking at the community commercial district development plan. Everything on there, it meets the criteria. It checks all the boxes. And I'm not going to deny something like that because it meets the standards. So I'm going to support it.
Okay, let's go.
Motion?
No, I was just gonna say that I'm not a fan of moving the goalposts for applicants every time they come in front of us. It just really is not fair to them, to me. They meet all the state and federal requirements. However, I would say this would be something to watch if we're considering other storage units in the future. If we have issues with this one, then we'll know like where we're going with the other applicants who are coming forward trying to build storages. The only thing I would say is to keep an eye on the type of applicants that are trying to move into those storage facilities and what they're trying to do with them. Because that is up and coming. If you're like me and you're on social media all the time and that's what they're doing. And they don't need power. They bring their own to turn it into an office or a podcast. You know, that's what they're using these storage facilities for. So that's something you guys need to be looking out for as well. But like I said, it's zoned for this and it meets all the state and federal requirements. And like Omar said, we're always put in these situations where we have to make these hard decisions.
I would like to, well, you want to go first? Go for it.
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to finish.
You want to make a motion or not?
No, okay. So I was going to say this. I may not look as old as I actually am, but I'm going to give you guys a picture before I say what I'm going to say on the project. Being alive in the 60s, there was a time where if my parents wanted to go purchase a home, they were denied. And they said some of the same things. Oh, if they come here, they're going to do this. There's going to be this crime. There's going to be this thing going on, and so on and so forth and so on. And guess what happened? Rules and laws were developed so that type of discrimination didn't take place. And I understand where the community comes from, but those rules and laws go out to everyone. When it even goes to commercial properties, liquor stores, goes out to marijuana facilities, so that type of discrimination and subjection doesn't take place. And just like my colleagues down there say, that we have to make decisions based on the rules, the laws, and the procedures, not based on feeling. In saying that I don't like something, I don't want something because I myself don't like it or feel that these things are going to occur. Which means that again, going into the decisions of the planning commission, I honestly wish that we had that power to go out and say, hey, I want a Ruth Chris there. Let's go talk to those guys and have them come in. You have to look at it like this. If there's a piece of property out there, a home or what, you can go purchase it. The same way a commercial property can come and say, I don't want that land, I can purchase it. The only difference is this is a single family home and this is a commercial property. There could be people in that neighborhood that said they don't want me there. But guess what? I get to buy it. And I get to get in my house and I get to live there. Because those are the rules of the policy, the procedure. It's the same thing for commercials. We don't make those policies. We don't design those policies. We have to abide by them. You know, I say, you know, I wish the general public would understand that it's not that we don't care about Moreno Valley or we don't care about something. No, that's just not the case. Now, for me, when I look at this, I happen to live about a mile away from this, not very far at all, just on the other side of the Shell station and 2 neighborhoods down before you cross the hill going over into where the Walmart is. So I'm not far away from this at all. When I look at the future of this, I absolutely want something nice in my area. Absolutely. And this building is beautiful. I think this will be the only fully enclosed climate control storage facility in Moreno Valley. And if you want it, boy, it'd be nice to be in the area that I live in. Absolutely. Okay. I think it's beautifully designed. I can't find anything wrong with the project that I could see that I would turn this project down legally or violation or procedure or something like that. I actually like it. I really do. I think with some things said there, I think I'm going to approve the project. Absolutely. I really like it. Absolutely.
Okay, I move that we approve resolution 2024 or 2025-04.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a vote? All right, the motion does carry. Do we have a staff wrap-up?
Yes, we do, Chair. Thank you. The action this evening by the Planning Commission is an appealable action. Any interested party that would like to file an appeal may do so within 10 days of this action. If an appeal is filed, it must be in writing to the Community Development Director, along with the appeal filing fee. If an appeal is received, it will be agendized for a public hearing before the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item on agenda, number 2, a security plan ordinance, PEN 25-002. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, we do, Chair. Thank you. If we can have the presentation queued up, please. Great. Good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. Angelica Frausto-Lupo, Community Development Director. The project before you this evening is a proposed security plan ordinance requested by the City Council. And here's some background information. As mentioned, on March 4th, the City Council directed staff to prepare an ordinance that will require security plans for all commercial centers, existing and new. Commercial centers that are 2 acres in size and all newly constructed multifamily projects exceeding 50 units. Section 9.08.270 of the city's code already requires all newly constructed commercial centers larger than 2 acres in size and newly constructed multifamily housing projects exceeding 50 units to submit a detailed security plan for the city to review and approval prior to issuance of the building permit. This proposed ordinance is requiring existing shopping centers to do the same. Therefore, the proposed ordinance will repeal Section 9.08.270 in its entirety and replace it with the following. For all commercial centers larger than 2 acres and newly constructed multifamily projects of 51 dwelling units or more, a detailed security plan shall be submitted to the city for review and approval. Existing commercial centers shall submit a detailed security plan to the city for review and approval within 270 days or 9 months of the effective date of the ordinance to come into compliance. And second, all newly constructed commercial centers larger than 2 acres and multifamily projects exceeding 50 dwelling units shall submit a detailed security plan to the city for review and approval prior to issuance of a building permit. Information on the minimum security plan. At minimum, the security plan shall include the following to ensure security of the site. Security surveillance cameras and a video recording system must be installed to monitor all doors into and out of the buildings on the site, the parking lot, loading areas, and all exterior sides of the property adjacent to the public right-of-ways. Professionally and centrally monitored fire, sprinkler, robbery, and burglar alarm systems must be installed as required and maintained in good working condition. The alarm system must include a private security company that is required to respond to every alarm. Through the security plan, the city may require details regarding staffing and deployment of security for a commercial center larger than 2 acres, and if deemed necessary for the purposes of security, the city may require that the property owner maintain the services of a private security company to monitor the buildings and parking areas based on the specific facts and circumstances associated with the site. And again, I'd like to emphasize that these requirements already exist in the code, and the only thing new in this proposed ordinance is to require existing shopping centers to do the same as new shopping centers, which is to submit an approved security plan. So therefore, staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve resolution number 2025-03, finding that the proposed ordinance is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, and recommending that the City Council adopt the proposed ordinance requiring security plans for all commercial centers exceeding 2 acres and all newly constructed multifamily projects exceeding 50 units. This concludes my report, and I am available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any commissioner questions for staff?
I have one. What is, I probably missed it and I apologize. What is the time frame for existing businesses to have this in compliance
270 days, which is about 9 months
from the time of
approval.
And what is the, and I'll come straight out and say it, punishment if they don't?
Well, they wouldn't be issued there for existing, you're
Right.
saying for existing. We would go through the methods of code compliance, community enhancement, and our
Be
code
fines
enforcement. But it could lead up to citations if shopping centers don't comply.
Do you happen to know how many existing need to come into compliance within those 9 months?
Yes, there are over 100. I do have the number somewhere here. About 107. There are several shopping centers that have various property owners, and but in total, about 107 shopping centers.
For those existing shopping centers that do have multiple owners, I guess is there a plan in place for the absorption of cost, or do they spread it out, or is that something that they have to work out amongst themselves, or? Okay.
That is correct. The city would expect that the various property owners work it out amongst themselves, and if they can't, then they would each be required to submit their own plan.
So there's no provision for arbitration if a complex with multiple owners couldn't come to an agreement? Or would they, for instance, you have one complex with multiple owners for different places, okay? And they can't come to an agreement because one place doesn't necessarily in itself reach the 2-acre, condition there, but amongst them all, they do. So is there maybe an arbitration that they would go through, or?
Those parcels at the shopping center that may be smaller than the 2 acres individually would still be required because they are part of the larger shopping center to have security. Again, it would either require them to work together as a group of property owners, or they would be required individually if they can't come to an agreement to submit a plan.
Thank you.
My other question is that this is a city ordinance, so was there a need for this because of the fact that maybe homeless, robberies?
It was
Two
directed
cents.
by staff at a recent city council meeting that the city consider this proposal.
What was the reasoning for it?
I don't believe that we got specific
need one?
information. Yeah.
I was just thinking if the existing one was okay, and they're just doing it for new, because a lot of times things are left the way they are. But it just seems like with all the things that you want done, it seems like there has to be something.
I don't know that there was a specific situation that caused the council to direct staff to propose this ordinance. I think just generally speaking, in terms of security for shopping centers and for the community.
I'm a public servant, so I just think that all the public entities up and down the state of California are just trying to get their emergency preparedness plans together. School districts, counties, I work for risk management in a school district, so I see other cities, City of Hemet, San Bernardino, they're doing the same thing. I just think with everything that's going on nowadays, with just so many different stuff happening, everybody's just trying to get their emergency preparedness together, and they're also doing interagency planning, working together. Like I know, Moreno Valley probably works with the school district in the city, trying to figure out who's gonna do what in like a time of, something happening. So I think it's just everybody kind of getting their ducks in a row.
Is there a question for staff in there? Okay.
I have a question. Is there examples of any other, do you know of any other, and I'm assuming there is, other cities that have a similar ordinance?
I didn't do the research on that. Maybe city attorney, would you have?
I know some cities do have similar.
I'm sure they do.
ordinances in place, but I
And
don't
the
know
second
exactly
question
which
is,
ones.
I'm assuming that, did we get any feedback from the Riverside County Sheriffs on their support for something like this? I imagine they would be supportive of it. Did we get any letter recommendation?
No.
Thank you.
Are there any other commissioner questions for staff? Okay. All right. With no other questions, I will now open the public testimony hearing at 7:29 p.m. And I take it that the city is the applicant? So it's your time to talk. No, any other comments for staff at this time? No? Okay, thank you. All right. So we'll now move on to the public comment section, when the clerk will call upon each person who has requested to speak. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, we have 2 speakers. Seth Cox, followed by Fred Manuelos.
I get to go first. Thank you, staff, for your briefing. You answered a lot of my
Hang
questions.
on just one second, sir. Can we have the timer?
No time. Again, thank you for the answers you gave, your speech. You answered a lot of my questions. I will make a couple of comments. I believe it's a little short-sighted on what the issues are within the city. The 2-acre limitation, do you know how many establishments, businesses can be on less than 2 acres? Maybe there should be a tenant count put in there somewhere, that if there's more than 3 tenants, 4 tenants, and less than 2 acres, they'd still have to have it. I mean, I know where a liquor store is and a cannabis store is on less than 2 acres. Does anybody else? Corner of India and Alessandro. Okay. The second one is the newly built multi-family units have to comply. I don't believe that's where our issues are. I think our issues are in the old established ones that are run down, junk cars, people living in their cars. Yes, I work with homeless. I know where people live in their cars. So maybe that needs to be looked at a little bit more before it comes up for approval or voting, and see if it can be modified a little bit to cover the whole city. Okay, you're leaving gaps in here, in little islands that will cause problems, because the people who are doing this are smarter than we are. Okay, they know they can measure 2 acres too, and they can go to some place that has less acreage and still do whatever they're doing. Yes, we have a homeless problem. A lot of it is homeless. Fred will be up here and tell you about his shopping center. I am not against security. Okay, we need it. Whether it's physical security, whether it's fire security, whatever, we have to have it. But we have to think about where the issues are and address the issues. You know, the new multifamily homes, people are going to be what, paying $2,800, $3,200 a month for rent? You're not going to have those issues in that type of neighborhood. Okay. I guess I will. Maybe we should do British law. Can I pass my time to Fred? Because he could probably talk longer than I could. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred Benuelos.
Hi, everyone. Well, I want you guys to approve this resolution. You know, Iris and LaSalle, I've had some problems there. I've talked to property management there. I've talked to the business owners there. And although it is getting better, I don't want to go backwards. I like section C and E in this, and I'd like to think that the sheriff's department would like this too, because they're probably tired of me calling on their non-emergency number all the time. But we need security. My wife doesn't feel safe shopping there. We're going into other cities right now to go shopping. She does not feel safe. We need to make her feel safe. We need this. And I was hoping that high season, which you guys approve, the cannabis, they were going to take care of the problem. They lied. They didn't do that. You know, you can't be repeating the same thing over and over again, and it's not working. So I'm ready to try something else. You know, I've lived in this city for about 4 or 5 years. I want it to get better. And unfortunately, the way it is, we need some type of security at our shopping centers where people feel safe. I recently went to talk to security at the Walmart area, you know, and they act as a deterrent. We need to do something to make people feel safe, because if my wife doesn't feel safe, we're going to go shopping somewhere else. Simple as that. We're going to take our tax money and go somewhere else where we feel safe. So I hope this gets approved. I like the thing that Seth said about the, you know, his comments about the 2 acres and how many, well, you know what he said. But yeah, it really upset me when high season, they lied and they said they were going to help out with that issue, and they didn't, the dispensary. So this is a way to make things safer. You know, like I said, the sheriff's department's, they're probably tired of me calling on the non-emergency number all the time. But I don't want to tie up our deputies on stuff like this. I wanted to keep it safe, and this will do it. Again, section C and E on this, those are the main things that I was drawn to. And I hope you guys approve this resolution. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
Roy Blecker.
Couple of the concerns I would have about, and it needs to be looked into, if you're going to pass an ordinance on existing businesses, they haven't factored the cost factor into this and they're built it up and you're putting it on. Is it going to deter or run businesses off that we have existing if we start preconditioning or conditioning, existing businesses? If you do it on new ones coming in and that's part of the deal, then they can factor it in. So I think that's one aspect of this ordinance that needs to be looked at. But overall, you can do some public records requests, even the city staff or you up there, anybody in the audience listening can do that. I've come up with then, there's many emails, probably stacks of them in here, of proposals, at least I know I have made, that we can make our community safer. And we'll have guys like Fred Banuelos possibly not having to call the cops on there to do these. And I will tell you the one that actually, when Daryl started on the catalytic converter, I started looking at that, ways to doing that, where we could have more policing, more security, more safer city of that. City of Lakewood did it. Again, one of my, I believe, great proposals that I brought to my fair city that it went absolutely nowhere. No discussion, not one comment, not from anybody who's ever sat on that dais or sat in the well. I think that's why you hear a lot of the comments of, and I just heard the lady when I was talking to her out there that commented earlier, oh, they're just not going to do anything. And I understand that frustration because I went through it for parts of 7 decades. If you really truly believe in this city, if you truly want it to be what it could be, it's not going to be proposing another law. It's not going to be proposing another ordinance. It's all of us working together as a community to make it the best it can be. I hope one day before I'm looking at the roots of the grass, the city will finally come to, the majority will come to that conclusion. Because the community's success ultimately is not determined what restaurant is here or what project is passed. It's determined by what we as a community put into it. So I hope everyone will consider that in the future, all that, because we can fix it if we have the will to do it.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
We have no more speakers.
I'm going to ask if the applicant would like to provide any additional information.
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, if there are no other speakers, we'll close the public testimony at 7:39 p.m. and move on to deliberations, or unless we have a motion and a second.
I just have one quick thing. What I'd like to see is, maybe we can include it into the motion that we get a sheriff's report on this before it goes to council. That way we get their backing. And maybe a future looking into some of the smaller businesses to be able to help them out with security. Maybe we can start some kind of, and I always hate city funded, but maybe there's a grant or something out there we could look up for the smaller businesses that don't fall under this. Maybe we can help them out so they can get some more security also.
Any other comments or deliberation? I see it, whatever the reason is, increase in crime, whatever it is, I just commend the city council and the city for being proactive and saying, hey, whatever it is, we're going to do something about it. And, just encourage, members of the public to realize that there is proactiveness happening in the city and that there are steps and measures to take place to help people become safer. I mean, I wish I had that formula. Of course, you guys know I work for a school, and I wish that I had that formula to say I can keep everyone safe, no more fights, no more issues, no more anything. And I take that formula first, pass it to the first city, to the first county, to the first state, and run that formula across, and there would never be any more crime. I don't have that formula, and I don't know anyone that does right now. But we can take steps to continue to be proactive, to meet the needs of the people, to meet issues as they come along, and also try to get ahead of them. And I do commend the city for taking steps. I like it. I think it's fantastic. I would actually, I'm hearing some of the comments that were made, and that we could start looking into some type of where, if you don't meet that 2-acre deal, but you do have 5 businesses in the area, 6 businesses that are together that do have a large population that patron those, that we could start thinking about something that we could meet, some type of proactive security system, something for those smaller businesses, something to look into the future. Because me living in Moreno Valley for this long a time, yes, well, I've seen the growth, and I've seen the need for more security, and just, just for people to feel a lot more safer there. So again, it's a great step. It's fantastic. Let's keep this type of thing going on. I would also like to see more code enforcement. My understanding, and I do think I know some of the numbers of the code enforcement per the ratio of citizens, and we need more to go out there and write those tickets and stuff like that. I just happen to have personal, because of my position that I work with police officers all the time. And I tell you, when my officer shows up at the school site and he gives me that number, when he draws that file number, I go, wow. I look at those last 3 numbers and I'm going, you guys are that far already at 9 o'clock? That's a lot of calls. And our sheriff's department is scrambling every single day to go out there and, 200 calls by 9 o'clock, and I'm going, wow, they're spread thin. So we could meet the needs of that by helping with code enforcement and writing those tickets for people that are parking in bicycle lanes and having security and stuff like that. So I just commend the city and just implore the city to continue to be proactive in the needs of the security for the city. That's my 2 cents. And I like the project, and I say yes, absolutely. Motion and second, anybody?
I move that we approve resolution 2025-03.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we have a vote? Uh-oh. There we go. All right, the motion does carry. Is there a staff wrap-up?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The recommendation of the Planning Commission will be presented to the City Council at a future meeting. Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is other commissioner business, and we do not have any items at this time. Staff comments. Do we have any staff comments?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just really quickly, did want to mention that at the last City Council meeting, the council approved the general plan annual progress report that has been submitted to the state. We have a new senior planner on staff, so you will be getting to know him shortly. His name is Miguel Del Rio, and we're excited that he's on board. And then finally, Monday is a holiday for the city, so City Hall will be closed. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I don't get it off.
Cesar Chavez Day.
Oh, okay. All right, the next item on the agenda is Planning Commissioner comments.
Have one quick thing. With our GPU that was shut down, is there any possible way that we could get an update of how that is going submitted to us? You know, with what, because we had
It's
an
coming to your
original.
direction.
Huh?
It's coming to your direction shortly.
Okay, and do we have a time frame on that? Just because I know before people have come to me and they said, hey, I've asked for an update, and all they got is the PowerPoint, which was almost like, I don't know how many months ago. So the people are
Just
just,
last June,
yeah,
2024.
yeah, and they're just wondering what's going on, so because they feel that they've been kept in the dark and they want to know what is proposed, what isn't proposed, what's going to be changed, what not, and keep them apprised, because you guys have kind of missed the dates that you guys originally set out for us. So if that could be done, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Also, too, people have been asking me about the update when the mall renovation. Can we have an update at some meeting? Because people keep asking if that's possible.
I thank you, Commissioner. We have not received any specific plans from the mall ownership, other than what I do know is that they are working on a comprehensive landscaping plan. And I had a meeting about a week or so ago, and so I was informed that landscaping plan would be submitted within the next few weeks, so they are moving forward on that.
So when will they start doing what they doing, like start grading the ground and start getting things ready to rise again?
Well, recently they've made some improvements on the north side of the mall. They had a grand opening there for a new tenant, so there was some improvements there, but otherwise have not received other information regarding their plans under the new specific plan.
Sorry, one last quick question. On that, do we have a specific, after an approval from the city council, is there a specific timeline when they must take action before they have to come to get an extension? Is it 5 years, or is there a timeline?
It's a specific plan, so I don't believe so.
Okay. Yeah, because I know we've had issues in the past where we have developers come in 10 years later building something. One example is, I think it was the units on the corner of Alessandro and LaSalle that I didn't even know were approved like 6 years ago. So, and it's just tough to have an idea and things pop up, especially with the general plan still in process. So, I'm wondering if that's something that we need to bring up. It should have some sort of timeline of when a project from approval to shovel in the dirt.
Specific plans operate a little bit different than entitlements. The specific plans dictate the development standards for the specific area. So entitlements are specific to a project, and those do have timelines.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's about it. I just wanted to say one thing, and, excuse me, Planning Commissioner. I just want to caution Planning Commissioners that when we are making comments or someone is speaking, that it is an open mic. And if there's side comments or snarls or this and that, it will show up on that tape. So just caution is, be careful, remain vigilant and professional at all times. The Planning Commission is adjourned at 7:49 p.m. to our next regular meeting at April 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m.